First up, we got Bill. Bill says, does anyone know a way to create an audience of health insurance agents or brokers with a company size of 10 to 50 people? I tried creating custom audiences from LinkedIn, but the size wasn't big enough to create it. I also tried lookalike audiences from this data, and I kept getting solo agents. Let me know what methods you would use. Marafour, that's a cool name. I hope I was in the ballpark with that one. He says, how do you make your PPC clients stay with you for a long time? My ones leave after their goals are achieved. Need some suggestions, please? Hunter says, hey, yo, battle of the software, ClickUp or Airtable? We went from Monday to Airtable, but chatted with another agency owner who raved about ClickUp. Any thoughts? Ooh. What's up, everybody? If we're actually live. There we go. It is confirmed we are in business. I see my own face. Good to see your face, by the way. As I've mentioned before, like I think you guys are the coolest people ever, and I love seeing the agencies you guys are building and the progress you guys are making. And now it's that kind of time of year where a lot of you guys are in that kind of starting to reflect and slow down. The holidays are kind of taking over, and it's a cool time where for people like us, we often get a little time and space to take a step back and think about the big picture. It almost kind of forces that. So I'm excited to see what the next step is for so many of you guys. And just one little quick announcement before we get rocking and rolling, which is that we are building an affiliate program. I got a little bit sidetracked on that, but the goal is so that you guys can sell any of our courses 100%, meaning you keep all the money. And there's a very specific evil genius reason I'm doing that, because I plan to keep most of you guys around for a long while. So I give you guys all the upfront money, and then, the mutual thing is we benefit on the back end. So I hope that's the win-win that I imagine it in my head. So for those of you guys who are interested, we're just in the process of setting up all the tech and all that kind of stuff. But once it's live, I'll let you guys know. And hopefully you guys can get some extra Christmas money paid by this man over here. So let's get into the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. All right. First up, we got Bill. Bill says, does anyone know a way to create an audience of health insurance agents or brokers with a company size of 10 to 50 people? I tried creating custom audiences from LinkedIn, but the size wasn't big enough to create it. I also tried lookalike audiences from this data, and I kept getting solo agents. Let me know what methods you would use. Very, very simple one-word answer to that question, my man Bill, is Coldlytics. This is what it was built for. I'll tell you why Matt McQuinn and I have collaborated on a few videos together in Coldlytics, and why I personally think it's the best tool is because I'm gonna give you an analogy of how important getting the right list is. And I want you to imagine for a second that you sell barbecue pork ribs, and Frankie Finn sends you to the Jewish Vegetarian Conference to go make some sales happen. And the truth is, I don't care what fucking offers you put on that. I don't care what sales message, I don't care what packaging, I don't care what it says on your stand. If you're just talking to the wrong people, like if you sell barbecue ribs and you're at the Jewish Vegetarian Conference where there's people who don't eat meat and especially don't eat pork, right? Then you're just not going to make any sales. If you change that over and you go to say to the Alabama football game and you're selling barbecue pork ribs, because that's barbecue haven, you might just clean up. You might have a line a half-mile long stadium of people waiting to order your barbecue ribs. So that's my way of saying list data is actually probably it's a hidden art that can make life very easy or very hard, because what happens is if you get it wrong, then you try and sell your stuff you try and sell your pork ribs to Jewish vegetarians, and then you don't understand why it's hard to market, why it's hard to advertise, why there's all this resistance, why people seem like they don't have any money, and it's you're just literally talking to the wrong people. So it's a common mistake I see, and the reason why I'm a big fan of Coldlytics, and you should check out the most recent training that Matt and I did from Coldlytics, Matt McQuinn. It's about 20 minutes long. And it just shows you like the new stuff. And one of the things is you can target by company size. So you can pick companies that are between 10 and 50 people. You can focus on insurance agents. And I would go harder at that list, and not try and like build a lookalike audience or anything. Just like spend more money going after this little teeny tiny list, which is likely to be probably a few thousand people. But you want to make sure all those people know who you are, and you'd be amazed. You'll sell a lot of your stuff. Marafur, that's a cool name. I hope I was in the ballpark with that one. He says, "How do you make your PPC clients stay with you for a long time? My ones leave after their goals are achieved. Need some suggestions, please." I would probably separate those two things because I feel like there's an assumption. Like often, like when we're stuck on something in business, there's an assumption in the question, and for me, what I see in yours is the clients are obviously not staying a long time, and that's the thing you really want to fix. But I think the assumption is, where did it go? After their goals are achieved, that's why they're doing it, is they hit their goals and they don't need you and you're just a throwaway thing. I've found that there are many reasons clients leave. So the most common one in the agency space is they just don't get them any results. You hire somebody to build you a website, that person disappears, you don't have any website, right? So that's, if you don't do that, if you get hired to build a website and you don't finish a website, like clients aren't going to keep you around. Like, or if you get hired to, make some ads work and you don't make the ads work, right? So there's all kinds of variations of that. And believe it or not, this is not the be all end all reason that a lot of the bro marketers think. The number one actual biggest reason people leave, by the way, is because they feel like unappreciated. And so chances are you're probably making it all about like the PPC campaigns and the results and getting there, and they feel like you just don't give a fuck about them. And it's funny too because this is probably an unconscious thing we do in business, but like a lot of the building the relationship in business is the little things you do that aren't about business. Like we just had a client who just had a new baby. So I sent him some new baby stuff with Amazon, a little gift basket, blah, blah, blah. Like when they stay for years, it's not because our pay-per-click campaigns are the greatest ever. It's because like we're like family to them, right? So that's how you kind of want it to be. And then the other big reason people leave is because there's communication gaps. I have a mentor who once said, "I do not tolerate brilliant assholes." And so he meant like even if somebody does great work and they're really smart, but they have a bad attitude or they're not easy to work with for one reason or another, like fuck them. That was his attitude. Fuck those people. Right? So if chances are if you're not communicating to them in a way that makes it seem like you're super stoked about this project and you're really excited and you're happy with what they're building them, they'll get the sense that like you just don't really care. In reality, you're probably so busy focused on generating them results you don't even notice that. But that's my way of saying it's probably not what you think it is, why they're not staying. And I'm just want to see if I can find two books. Here. These two in particular are solid gold for keeping people. Our man Josh Nelson, the Client Retention Handbook, which I just wrote a forward in it because I believe in what he's talking about here. And also, a lot of the ideas you'll see are derived from this book as applied to an agency. And we're actually going to have him as a guest in the new year. Joey Coleman, the author of this book, Never Lose a Customer Again. That's the playbook on retention. So yeah. Anyways, Joey Coleman's coming on the show. I forgot to mention that, but we're excited about that booking. I'm expecting, I think, late January. I forget the actual time. I'm bad with dates, but somewhere in that end of January kind of thing. Olivia, let me see if I can tag you on this one. I mentioned that I would tag you. There we go. So Olivia says, "Hey Frankie, love your content, bro. So I get the idea of finding shoe buyers for a specific niche, like what you did for the water restoration agency. But what if your niche is in a specific industry? Our service is local SEO. So much easier than what you were doing for lawyers. We find weak spots in the serps, so it doesn't take a ton of money and energy to rank these people. Time is still 3 to 6 months. So our niche is whatever company can turn a profit on those keywords. Makes sense. Though I will say we prefer construction or home services companies, though many guys do and prefer commercial work. How would you go about finding shoe buyers in that situation? Like, there is no association or anything in these guys. Just happens that they have a low competition keyword. Thanks in advance. Um, so I'm gonna answer that question with a little bit of a story, Olivia. Um, so we have all kinds of different people at different levels in our agency group, and one of the cool things about my vantage point is that I get to see inside of like really wildly successful agencies. I get to see insights of people just starting out, struggling. I get to see like a whole lot in the middle. People are starting to build teams and things like that. And I'll tell you, we have a lot of folks in our group who do SEO and charge $10,000 to $20,000 per month and get it month after month, often for like 5, 6, 7 straight years for clients. So like imagine a client paying you 10, 20 grand a month. And I say that because chances are you're probably, if I had to guess just based on the question, you're probably not at the 10 to 20K a month for SEO. Now, I also see a lot of people like selling SEO solutions in the one to like three and a half thousand dollar per month range and getting it. And I also have people who come to me and say like everybody in my industry is broke and nobody wants to pay more than $400 a month for SEO. And those are kind of like the three tiers, and almost always there's a common theme between those like kind of three levels, income wise, and I call those generalist, specialist, and celebrity authority. Actually, I usually call him Jerry Generalist, Steven Specialist, and Cedric the Celebrity Authority. Okay, so the lowest paid on the totem pole is usually a generalist, and their idea of a client is anyone this shit will work for. And what happens is when you try and talk to anyone and everyone, when you think broader in your mind instead of more narrow and focused, it's hard to like find anything that like two people have in common. And so what ends up happening is you talk about your thing which nobody cares about, which is what I call the hammer. Like you're going to talk about your SEO, you're going to talk about your website, you're going to talk about your pay-per-click. And it's because you're talking to too many people, and so there aren't really that many commonalities. And so those are usually the people who like $400 a month to like $1,000 a month they charge for SEO, and they get a lot of fucking pushback at that price because it's more about who they're doing it for. They're kind of like unknowingly doing it for the lowest of the low, kind of bottom of the barrel clients who, you know, you can engineer a couple of quick little wins. Now, the people who are charging $1,000 to say $3,500, which I see a lot of those per month, obviously, per client. Most typically, those people are specialized in an industry. Those are like Steven specialists, where I do this for lawyers. I do this, you know, I do this for HVAC and plumbers. I do this for baby products in the e-commerce space, right? Like whatever. And what happens is when they specialize, they almost always usually get about a 4x jump in money. And there's another 4x jump, which is the celebrity authority, which is essentially like you're a specialist in an industry and then you've used the power of media to make it so that everybody in that space knows who you are. So, you know, books, magazines, podcasts, speaking on stage, that kind of stuff. So what happens, the reason I tell you this is because chances are if you're in the generalist to specialist space, you're probably going to be like $400 a month to like $2,000 a month. And that's my way of saying you could have less clients, make a whole lot more money, and deliver a better service doing actually less if you chose to specialize in it. So the answer like that I'm trying to kind of hint at here is like the reason why we say niching down is twofold, because one, it'll help get your messaging on point. Instead of saying we'll do SEO for anyone who has an opportunity, it's a huge difference between saying like, hey, dear personal injury lawyer with between 2 and 20 staff members, we figured out how to get signed cases for $500 per month or $500 a piece, and we can bring you 10 or 20 a month, and for that it's just $8K a month or whatever. The hardest part is like going up the income ladder requires thinking about being about somebody, which automatically disqualifies people, and it's counterintuitive because I'll tell you like in the early stages of my agency, I said yes to any and all opportunities as long as they had a credit card and it worked, and they had an SEO problem that I thought I could solve. I did it. And what happens is like I was in that like $400 a month. And one of the earliest things that changed is we simply just like focused on a specific industry and got like better results. And what happens is, this is my way of saying like the easiest way to pick a niche that everybody avoids is, it sounds like it's beating you over the head that like you're doing really well in the construction and home services spaces. And I would go even deeper than that, is just, this applies to any of you guys who are like not having picked a niche, is clone your best client. Like if your best dude is a deck builder named Gary, like, and he's just cool and he pays you a lot of money and he's easy to help and he's got good reviews and he answers the phone, like how can you clone the fuck out of Gary and do that like 20 places? So that's how I think about picking a niche, is like actually just picking your best client. And then what happens is almost always that will put you into a vertical, which will then have the things that you asked about, associations. The reason why you can't like really pick out any targets is because in your mind you're aiming so broad. And I always say like, in most lifestyle agencies, like you're not going to have more than 100 clients. Like we're not mass market, we're not Walmart, we're not Starbucks, we're not come one, come anyone with a fucking credit card. Like we're very uber super selective, and so it's way more important that you pick the right 100 people or less, however many it would take to hit your goal to work with, and then like really focus on those people and like do amazing work for them. And what you'll find is there's an 80-20 to it anyway. If you help 10 clients, you won't help them all equally. Like there might be one guy who got 3 extra phone calls, and there might be one guy who says to you, hey, Olivia, you made me $300,000 extra this month, right? Like all things being equal, focus on the guy over here that you just made $300,000 for. So like a lot of what people miss is the 80-20 of it. And what I mean by that is, they look at it like all clients are equal, all people in my industry are equal, and it's like it's really not that way. Like there's people who spend, like I know in the legal market, there's lawyers who spend $100 million a year on advertising, and there's lawyers who won't invest a penny, right? Like those to me are very different people at very different stages of the journey. So I hope that's helpful to you, because if you just simply specialize in something that's already working, you'll be able to charge more money for it. It'll be easier to deliver, and something that we don't always think about, but it's easier to hire staff, good staff, when you have a margin. So like when I was only getting $400 a month for SEO and a virtual assistant wanted $400 a month, like I had to split them between like 3-4 projects to even be able to make a dime myself, right? As where, when you're charging $3,500 a month, you can like actually bring in like a whole team of people. You can actually bring in an account manager. Like there's room to pay people, right? So there's other auxiliary benefits that come later. But that would be my way of saying, just like clone your best client, and you'll be amazed at how much easier the targeting gets. Hunter says, hey, yo, battle of the software, ClickUp or Airtable? We went from Monday to Airtable, but chatted with another agency owner who raved about ClickUp. Any thoughts? Yeah, I'm gonna be little meanie Frankie Finn right now, which is one of the big reasons people in our space don't get shit done is because they obsess about software and tools instead of like execution. So I have found that the best software, like project management, is the one that gets you executing on the shit that you really need to execute, whatever that is. And it's different for different people's in different stages of the journey. Some of you guys may need to just go have fucking conversations and go get some clients and make some offers to people. Some of you guys like got to get that next virtual assistant and like, you know, start building the team. Some of you guys have to build that management structure and be able to manage people. Like it's different things for different people. But one of the things that keeps people, instead of just fucking deciding and doing and like taking real, like calculated big action, like I want to like probably say bold is probably, because it's not always about the size of the action. It's just like focused and bold and kind of courageous action. One of the biggest things that keeps people from doing that in our industry, in my experience, is like software. And I'm not picking on you particularly, because I think we've all, anybody listening to this, by the way, can relate. Like we've all like delayed making a decision about a software. So the best project management software is the one you will fucking use to get shit done. The one your team will use to get shit done. For us, and this is not a blanket answer for everybody, that particular answer was Asana. And I'll tell you why I like Asana, because it's the most low-tech project management software in existence, and all it is like to-do lists, and you assign to-do lists. And it's very similar to how I work in the real world, so my little simple brain could get around that without feeling like I had to learn a new software and code and programming and watch help tutorials. I'm like, I could use Asana day one, 5 minutes into it, and so therefore helped us get shit done. Now, having said that, like, if you want fancy automations, like, ClickUp is very, very good for that. Like, if you're at the level of scale where you're not just sending a letter to one person, you're sending a letter to 50 people, and it's the same letter every time, like, bringing in an automation might make a lot of sense. Monday's good. Trello's good. This is the fucking truth. They're all good. What isn't true is they won't all necessarily be good to get some shit done, and they all have free trials. So, like, my thing is just, like, go fucking use it for a little bit and see if you get shit done. If you end up spending more time learning the software instead of getting shit done, you're probably using the wrong one for the wrong stage you're in. But I mean, I keep it like really fucking stupid simple. Like all our, if you guys saw all our project management files, it's like literally Frankie writes down on a to-do list on a piece of paper and then asks himself who's gonna have to do that, like which one of the employees is gonna be responsible, and then I copy and paste that into Asana and assign that person and send it off, and then wait for an end of the week report. Like that's it, really. Like that's the whole system. So don't use the project management software as an excuse not to get shit done. Use it the opposite, as a tool to actually help you execute. And the most useful part of it, why it doesn't really fucking matter what you use, is because once you build a team, you need one single place where everybody in your team can talk to each other. That's it. Where they can leave comments and messages and get updates and what's the link for this and iron out some of those bugs. And any project management software will fucking do that. All of them, in fact, right? So it's just a matter of like what's user friendly for you. Whitney says, what made you finally pull the trigger on niching down? I'm on the fence about to jump off. Well, I'll give you an experience of like before niching down. So my first agency was a white label SEO agency. We did it from about, I want to say like 2007 to like 2014. I got to probably, it bounced around, like it wasn't like completely linear, but we were between 120 and 150 different clients in the business. And about 80% of those people were plastic surgeons. I didn't plan it that way. Like just, the white label partners I just happened to attract were in plastic surgery. So I got a lot of it. But in the beginning, I said yes to anyone with a credit card. And so about 20% of our clients were not in the niche. And they didn't really fit like any specific criteria. Like we had a bankruptcy lawyer we're doing SEO for. Doing a little bit of pay-per-click, designing a few websites. And they were just like a mix of all that shit. And I didn't recognize it at the time. But there's a point to this story, which is 80% of my time, energy, and headaches came from that small 20%, what I call custom. And I'll tell you why, is because the other 120 clients or so, like we were doing the exact same fucking thing for all of them, right? So like if I was publishing content articles for one surgeon, I published content articles for all of them, right? And so I didn't have to re-instruct my team 120 times. I could just say like, go post articles for all of them, right? And, follow this basic formula and format. And so even though we were doing it for 120 people, like it only takes one little kind of unit of energy input to like go get a lot done. And all the custom stuff like ran me ragged. I didn't recognize it at the time, but it was like, it takes the most amount of energy. It's the hardest to hire people for. It's so much easier to like do all that yourself because it's kind of like you got it figured out in your head, and then explaining it to somebody would take them longer than just doing it. This is not true, by the way, when you do what I call customization, like when you're making, so like, this is my way of saying my first agency was 80% niche down and 20% not niche down. And like most of the fucking headaches, like especially on the delivery side, we're all here in this 20% where we should have been niche down. Or in reality, we should have said no to all of that and referred that to someone else, and they probably would have sent us a plastic surgeon back as a thank you for kind of referring them. So what happens is when you niche down, a lot of times we think it's going to cost us all this money. Like I'll tell you the two biggest reasons people just don't pick a fucking niche that I've seen anyway. There might be other reasons. Reason number one is they think there are good and bad niches, and if they pick the wrong one, you're basically fucked for life. And so because it becomes this big, heavy decision, it's like we must take our time and approach this carefully and cautiously and weigh all the factors and things like that. And in reality, it's more like in every single niche, there's a spectrum, right? Like it's like a lot of times we think, oh, if I pick the wrong niche, I'll be broke. But there are broke yoga teachers, and there's yoga teachers with 75 fucking franchise locations. There are broke lawyers, and there are ones who got 500 fucking staff and spend 100 million on TV. There are roofers who like got up drunk this morning and don't have any fucking work for the next 2 weeks. And there are roofing companies that have like, 40 locations across fucking 3 state lines. And so every niche is a spectrum. And so you don't really have to worry about picking the wrong one. I see Paul dropping the, I missed that a minute ago, but he's recommending Go High Level as a CRM, of course. Go High Level, awesome tool. We just actually got Sean Clark in the group, the founder of Go High Level, so I'm stoked to have him here. I told him he just has to be here for moral support and good looks. There you go, Sean. Moral support and good looks. So anyways, going back to the niche thing, the biggest reason people don't pick a niche is because if I pick the wrong one, I'm screwed forever. And the truth is, it's more likely you're going to aim for the niche within the niche, like the people who have money and have high-level kind of marketing, advertising, those kind of problems, right? Like a lot of times people think that as they get bigger, they're making all the money and they got everything figured out. Like you see a lawyer doing 100 million a year, they got it all figured out. And if any of you guys ever worked for what I call a big dumb company, you know that not to be true. Like there's meetings and there's pointless bureaucracy, and Susie only got promoted because she goes to the bar with Dave on Friday night, and I think they have an affair going, and like shit like that is why big dumb companies do not have it all figured out, and usually they have more problems, right? Like they have more media. They're like with lawyers, they might be running TV, billboards, and all those, and radio, and print media, and bus stops, and SEO, and pay-per-click, and they're also trying TikTok. Like they got more problems, not less, and bigger problems that they're more willing to pay money for. So that's reason number one. People avoid it because if I pick the wrong niche, and in reality, you're probably just going to aim for the niche within the niche that has the money. There's only a few bad niches, and they're usually just like they can buy it online without the person, or it's like overly regulated, or like it's all insurance driven, such as say like general practice doctors, and so none of them advertise. But for the most part, like you're probably going to go into a plain Jane, boring ass niche that everybody else goes into, and then you're going to specialize in something that is still a blue ocean within that. And that to me is, as I mentioned earlier, when you actually make a lot more money doing this. The generalist agency that'll do anyone for anyone, as long as they're a business owner, they're usually in the $400 to $1,000 a month range, typically. The ones who specialized do it for like $1,000 to like $3,500 typically, and the ones who do it anywhere from like $4,000 to $20,000 a month retainers, I'm sure they go a lot higher than that. I'm just talking folks that I know personally in the group. Those ones like have built some celebrity in their industry using media and speaking on stage and interviews and podcasts and things like that. So the biggest reason to niche down is twofold. One is that your messaging finally says something. And I compare this, by the way, like if you had to write in your mind an advertisement for an athlete, in my mind, at least, it would be pretty hard because there's so many different athletes. There's like skaters, and there's skiers, and there's pro wrestlers, and there's, world's strongest man, and there's like, CrossFit motherfuckers, and there's like, handicapped fucking athletes. So I wouldn't even know who I'm talking to, versus if I said like write an ad for a left-handed golfer with a slice, the ad would almost write itself, like dear left-handed golfer with a slice. And the reason I say that is once you pick a niche, a lot of times people struggle with messaging because they're trying to talk to too many people, and so they're like dear athlete, blah blah blah. And then once the minute they go dear left-handed golfer with a slice, and the message is focused and specific and on point, like they start collecting money easily from golfers. So The first reason I mentioned pick a niche is you'll make the messaging on point, and the second thing is like not enough people think about this, but you actually make your delivery life easier. Like when McDonald's first scaled, all they made were burgers. Like the hamburger's already made before you walk in the door. Why? Because they only sell one thing. So if you want something other than a hamburger, you're in the wrong store. Will they customize it for you? Yes, of course. Hold the pickles. Give me an extra slice of cheese. I don't like ketchup. Can you just do mustard? Right? Whatever. They'll customize it, but they will not build you something that's not a burger. And so I meant to mention here the second reason people struggle on a niche, but I kind of forgot it for a second. What was the second reason I was thinking about? I wrote about this the other day, so I'm a little bit tired dad brain today. Kids had a rough night, so forgetful me. But I guess the one piece of advice I would give somebody like you that's niching down is like you already have your niche. It's not about finding something new. It's about like getting rid of the 20% waste in my case. And usually if you're a generalist, it's more like 80% waste. And so I always say like clone your best, happiest, lowest maintenance, highest paying kind of client and make that your niche and just like be about those people, and you'll make more money and the whole business will get easier. And you'll already start with something that works for them. Like you already have the burger before they come in the door. And that makes a pretty powerful, like imagine like a custom restaurant that says, oh, can you make burgers? Yeah, hold on, Larry's got to run to the store and go pick up ground meat, blah blah blah, we'll be back in a couple hours and we'll have your burger. Versus the person who says, oh yeah, all we do is make these awesome burgers over in here, and like if you want it, it's ready. 99 cents, take it, right? I don't even know if you can get fast food anywhere in the world for 99 cents right now. That's a conversation for another day. But point being is like it starts to feed the speed part of it too, right? Because you're starting with tools and resources and processes that already have proven to work for them. So if you're afraid of doing it, that's another big reason people avoid picking a niche is because they think like, oh, like I'll exclude too many people. And as I mentioned, that's the fucking point. We're not mass market Starbucks or Walmart. We're a very specialized niche kind of thing, and we're like experts, not just like people trying to sell a fucking SEO service or a pay-per-click, but you guys are here because you're legitimate fucking experts in things like the tools and systems you run. And that doesn't mean you have it all figured out, by the way. It just means you know far more in the top 10 percentile in the world of what it is you know a lot about. So jump off and pick a niche. You'll make your life easier, and you'll actually get more money for it, and you'll wonder why you didn't fucking do it years ago. Last question we got. David says, what's something you had to learn the hard way about running a business? I mean, there's a couple that kind of jump to mind, David, that are hard about running a business. I think one of the hardest things is learning yourself and how you work. At least for me. Like, it took me a lot of years to realize I don't actually like doing the delivery side of things. Like, usually I find people fall in one camp. They love promoting and marketing and talking about the business, but they hate actually doing the work. Or the opposite, they love doing the work and wish they never had to sell it. And I find those people work incredibly well together when they forge strategic relationships and partnerships because, you can essentially, like, you both get to say in your zone of genius. So that's kind of the point I wanted to make, is that figuring out like how you're actually built. Like, do you like working mornings? Do you like working evenings? What kind of stuff do you like doing? Who do you like doing it with? That's a thing in business that I think is one of those things you never fully have figured out, but it's like a continuous kind of growing and learning process the whole time. Another thing I wish I knew earlier is that Dan Kennedy says this, and it's really true. You're in the fucking marketing business. You're not in the plumbing, SEO. You're not, you don't build websites, it's, and this is obvious to us in our world, but it's not obvious to every plumber or lawyer. Like, I used to hear lawyers say shit all the time, like, that guy's number one? That guy's never even tried a fucking case. Like, he's a terrible fucking lawyer. And I'm like, yeah, but he's a better marketer than you, right? Like, and he's a more courageous marketer. Often it's not even that he's better. He's just willing to spend more money and resources and be more daring and try more shit. And it's not about being the best at their craft. It's about being the best marketer at that. And so I think one of the things is like when I first started, I just wanted to do SEO, like have people pay me for it and just show up and go, here, I'm ready to go, and then just leave me alone. And I would do the work in the background kind of on my own terms, autonomously. And I forget where I was going with that. Tired dad brain just kicked in a second time. And the other hard thing about learning about running a business is you don't have to do everything cold strangers and make it so hard. Like, and this is not a function of anything to do with like anyone in particular. It's just that like when clients ask from us, they always say like when a client wants to up level their business, they always say, I need more new people. I need more new people. And almost always I found the opposite is true. Like the better you are at getting the most out of the resources you have now, the audience you have now, the customers you have now, the people you have now, the staff you have now, the better you are at using those resources, the more you're going to be able to pay to get new people. Because like imagine two internet marketers and they both have $100 course. Okay, we'll call them A for Andy and B for Bob. And Andy sells a $100 course, and then he goes looking for somebody new to sell that $100 course for. And Bob tries his best to serve and take care of those people and comes up with new offers and things like that. And he finds that after like 2-3 years, the average person, if they buy a course from him one time, they'll buy like 9 or 10 courses, and he makes $900 or $1,000 per person. Now, when it comes to like actually paid advertising to scale that business, Andy is going to lose that game because of economics. Because if Bob spends $101 to go get a client, like he can lose money on month one if he wants to, because he has that, like he's getting more resources out of it. So it's one of those things that like when people tell you they need new stuff, I wish I knew this, but they send you after the hardest, most difficult, most unrealistic, most unproven, most uncertain part of the business. And they send us kind of in the trenches to go, you know, take arrows in the chest for them. And I wish I knew years ago how much easier it is to help existing businesses with the people and resources they already got. And you'd be amazed at how much easier and faster it is, and how many easy opportunities they miss. So that would be my other piece, is just to say that like learning that is a hard lesson, but once you figure it out, you stop chasing like all the difficult stuff, and it becomes, at least for me, a lot more enjoyable. Because if people knew how to convert and sort of like, you know, Jay Abraham says there's only 3 ways to grow a business. You get more of them, you get them to buy more frequently, or you get them to spend more money on average. And everybody says like, I need 1, but in reality, what they actually need are 2 and 3. Is they need to figure out how to serve people better and get them to spend more money, and they need to figure out like how to keep them around for longer and happier. And the good news is once you know that, it's like almost like a cheat code. So that's just my opinion, but I find that the more you guys who are around this a little bit will be like, man, like I don't need to work so hard to generate business for my clients, because they actually have a shit ton of resources that they're just not aware of. So enough rambling about that. Let's for those of you guys who missed the intro, Frankie Finn here is putting together an affiliate program. We're just sorting out the tech and stuff like that. Martin Freely is kind enough to be helping out with that. He's an awesome dude. For those of you guys who need tech stuff, let me know and I will make an intro to Martin. He's helped us with dozens of things like redoing our website, setting up pixels, and setting up accounting stuff, and you know, connecting automations and things like that. He's really a smart, sharp kind of tool. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him. But anyways, for the affiliate program, what we're going to be able to do is you guys will be able to offer our courses to any like agency owners and stuff you know that would potentially be a good fit for it. And I'm going to give you 100% of the upfront money, and make it so that you don't have anything to deliver. That we'll actually take care of, sending them stuff, making you look good, and all that good stuff. And all you got to do is just share a link, and we pay you for that. So I'm hoping that's going to be an awesome win-win, because, you know, like I plan on taking care of anybody. It's a great honor when you guys send people. And my goal is to just like give everybody the absolute best. And I say this like sincerely, because people have asked me before, like, how do you put out so much content? And the truth is, like, I just relate to you guys because I've been in the same kind of life path for so long that, and I don't think everybody in the outside world understands us. We all have friends and family who don't. That, um, to me, like it's a real honor and privilege to be able to work with you guys. Um, so I want to put that together and make sure we take care of your people and all that good stuff, and make sure we take care of you, and for helping us do a little bit of expansion using the resources we already have, by the way, which is one of the things we talked about earlier. So I try and practice what we preach. And then, as always, coming around in the new year, it's probably soon that I should be talking about the Wolfpack and what we're kind of working towards 2024. It's always an evolving thing, so I never want to say like it is this one thing, but the latest and greatest. You can check that out and where we're at and all that good stuff. And appreciate all you fine folks. Have a happy Monday, and may the force be with you. Hey guys, if you like this video, you'll also like my book on Amazon called Beyond the Agency Box, which you can also find by my name, Frankie Finn, and it's got a lot of awesome reviews. And it really just goes deeper on a lot of things we're talking about, everything you need to grow and start a lifestyle agency, from the stages you'll go through to getting clients, to how to create winning offers, to high value deliverables, to wowing clients, to building teams, to building systems, and building a boring factory that's like a 7-figure money machine for you. So if you're interested, I put links for you in the video description, as well as it'll be in the pinned top comment below, and make sure to check those out.